John Gradek's on the line. John, two things today with Air Canada. Number one, we find out today, for whatever reason, that Air Canada, or rather that the federal government has bought back some of the shares that it had purchased in Air Canada. This goes back, I guess, to 2021 during the pandemic. So what was all this about?
That was Air Canada's holding of about 6.5% of the equity in Air Canada. That was a result, if you remember, back in 2021, the government finally decided to bail out the industry and was doling out billions of dollars. Air Canada got about $5.6 billion in loans, plus a $500 million equity infusion. The $5.6 billion was paid back within about 18 months, and this is the last of that support that Air Canada bought back from the government this week.
We make any money?
Well, depends. On the face value, the shares cost us 23. They sold it at 25. They were holding them for about 3 years, so about 1%, 1.5% a year.
Way to go, government. Okay, the other story today concerns what's happening in Ottawa, I guess. So we know that Michael Russo, and I'm sorry, I don't know the president of WestJet's name. They're both summoned today. I'm not sure who else was out there talking about the government, of course, I guess forced to do this after the backlash last week to the charges that Air Canada was going to institute on carry-on bags. We know what's happening there?
Yeah, well, I think that the testimony of Alexis von Hausenbis is the president of WestJet.
Okay.
He was there. Anik was there from Air Transat. Mike Deleuze from Porter, and then Mike Russo from Air Canada. So they were all there, and the Commons committees basically, the members of the committee were lambasting them pretty hard in terms of the rationale for these charges, specifically this $35 charge that Air Canada was on. And I think what the committee got out of it is that they really wanted to see the economics of this decision and understanding, how much money is Air Canada going to get out of this, how much they're going to cost going to be, and how much of this is straight cash grab that goes to the bottom line. And I think that's where the gist of this whole conversation is going, because, they're saying you're getting this money on the backs of people who can least afford it. When you're buying these cheap tickets, you basically want to get another $35 from them to bring a carry-on. So it's going to be an interesting exercise to see how the committee kind of puts a summary together of what the conversation was like today.
Yeah, but is that just it? Is it, as you just said, an exercise? You're really expecting anything to come out of this, anything to change?
There's nothing that, the government really is powerless to enforce a change. I think that, we have the regulations, the only regulations we have currently in place with the industry is really operational stuff, dealing with, licensing and pilots and mechanics and all that good stuff. There's no oversight commercially. We basically walked away from commercial oversight when we deregulated the business 40 years ago. So, let the market decide what success and what failure could look like. So it's the government, in order for the government to do something, they now have to start re-regulating the business. And we all know how much of an appetite Canadians have for that.
So it sounds to me, as you're describing it, it's more for show than anything else. Look, we're going to do something about it, but we can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, and I think that, it's really, you're going to try moral suasion and try to shame the airlines into doing something. And I think that's what they're doing. They're really trying to, raise the profile of this so that the airlines by themselves saying, oops, this is a mistake, maybe we'll back down. I doubt it, but that's the attempt that's being made today.
By the way, did you happen to see any of this? Was Michael Russo forced to speak French at any point, or?
Oh, that was unfortunately the most shameful part of the whole session.
Oh.
That Mike did try. I think he was using he did about 10 or 12 words, and the MP from the Bloc Québécois just tore a strip off of him.
Oh, no.
Saying you'd said 3 years ago that you would be doing your French improvement. It is pitiful to see that you really haven't done much to improve your French. And Russo said, I've been trying, but unfortunately hasn't been able to improve it. So that to me was probably the most shameful part of the whole session.
You should have simply said, Mon Dieu. That would have been good enough, I think, if you're going to be accused. I
would have said, alors, but I don't know.
Okay.
It was shameful, but it's what it is.
Yeah, I guess. At the end of the day, we'll see what comes out of this. As I said, I don't think consumers are holding their breath. We've seen this happen too many times before.